Timing a trip to Morocco well requires answering two completely separate questions at the same time, and most travel advice only answers one of them. The first question is about climate, which in Morocco is more varied and more regionally specific than the country's reputation as a warm, sunny North African destination suggests. The second question is about the Ramadan calendar, and this is the one almost no timing guide treats with the seriousness it deserves, because Ramadan moves. Unlike every other timing variable in travel, Ramadan is determined by the lunar calendar rather than the solar one, which means it shifts roughly 11 days earlier each year, cycling through all 12 months of the Gregorian calendar over a period of about 33 years. A month that is straightforwardly ideal for visiting Morocco in one year may have Ramadan in the middle of it the next, and the experience of being in Morocco during Ramadan is sufficiently different from the experience of being there outside it that the two are worth treating as different trips. Ignoring the lunar calendar when planning Morocco is answering half the timing question and hoping the other half doesn't matter. It does. Start with the climate, because it needs to be understood regionally before the Ramadan layer can be applied correctly. Morocco compresses an extraordinary range of climates into a country the size of California, and the compression is both horizontal and vertical. The high Atlas Mountains running through the center of the country receive genuine snow in winter and maintain cool temperatures through summer at altitude. The Sahara Desert in the southeast reaches temperatures that make outdoor activity dangerous in July and August. The Atlantic coast runs cool and windy year-round, moderated by the cold Canary Current in a way that keeps Essaouira and Agadir significantly cooler than the inland cities, even in peak summer. The Mediterranean coast in the north has its own regime, warmer and calmer than the Atlantic side. And the imperial cities of the interior, Marrakesh, Fez, Meknes, sit in a continental climate where summer heat can be genuinely extreme and winter nights surprisingly cold. The result is that best time to visit Morocco has a different answer depending on which Morocco you're visiting, and applying a single national answer to a regionally varied country produces the same error it produces in Australia or India, correct for some parts, misleading about others. Marrakesh is where most visitors start, and the climate here is the most important to understand correctly because it produces the most consequential mistakes. The city sits at an elevation of around 450 meters in a semi-arid landscape, which gives it hot, dry summers and mild but genuinely cool winters. July and August in Marrakesh are not merely warm, they are regularly above 40 degrees Celsius, with a dry heat that reorganizes the entire day around shade, hydration, and the hours before 10 in the morning and after 5 in the afternoon when outdoor exploration is physically manageable. This is not the European idea of a hot day. It's a sustained, enveloping heat that makes the Medina, which generates its own warmth from the density of people and the lack of airflow in the narrow lanes, particularly taxing. Tourists who arrive in July expecting a hot but manageable experience are frequently surprised by how limiting the heat actually is. The best months for Marrakesh, measured purely on climate, are October through November and March through May, the two shoulder windows on either side of the summer extreme and the winter cool. In these months, the temperatures sit in the comfortable mid-20s during the day. The evenings are pleasant rather than cold. The light has the warm, saturated quality that the photographs of Marrakesh's ochre walls and blue tiles were taken in, and the Medina is navigable at any hour rather than only at the margins of the day. December through February is genuinely cold at night. Marrakesh can approach freezing after dark in January, which surprises visitors who packed for Africa rather than for a Mediterranean winter. But the days are mild and bright, and the Medina is at its least crowded of the year, which for certain travelers is its own recommendation. Fez follows a similar pattern but sits slightly higher and slightly cooler than Marrakesh, which means the summer extreme is a degree or two less savage and the winter slightly colder. The same shoulder logic applies. Spring and autumn are the ideal windows, but Fez in winter has an atmospheric quality that Marrakesh doesn't quite match. The mist that settles over the Medina on cold mornings, the smoke from the hammams and the bread ovens rising through the alleyways, the quietness of a city that in summer is managing thousands of tourists, and in winter is primarily just itself. The Atlas Mountains change the calculation entirely for travelers whose itinerary includes the mountain passes or the trekking routes around Toubkal, the highest peak in North Africa. The Tizi and Tichka Pass connecting Marrakesh to Ouarzazate, which most travelers to the desert take, sits at over 2,000 meters and can close briefly in heavy winter snowfall. Not regularly, but often enough to be worth checking in December and January. The Toubkal Circuit, the most popular trekking route in the High Atlas, is best approached in late spring and early autumn, May, June, and September, October, when the snow on the higher terrain has melted enough for safe passage and the temperatures at altitude are genuinely pleasant rather than either freezing or uncomfortably hot. Summer at high altitude in the Atlas is excellent for trekking but brings afternoon thunderstorms that can be significant and that require an early start to avoid. The desert around Merzouga and the Draa Valley is the region where summer timing is most clearly inadvisable and the reasons most clearly physical. The Sahara in July reaches temperatures that are not merely uncomfortable but genuinely dangerous for unacclimatized visitors doing outdoor activities. The dunes at Erg Chebi at noon in August are not somewhere you want to spend meaningful time on foot. The prime desert window is October through April, when the days are warm enough for camel treks and sunset watching from the dunes, but the nights are cool in a way that makes the desert camp experience genuinely pleasant rather than sweaty. February and March in the desert have a particular quality. The light on the dunes is extraordinary. The crowds are thinner than the peak October-November period, and the cold desert nights under a sky of implausible starry clarity are one of the more specifically Moroccan experiences available anywhere. The Atlantic coast, Essaouira in particular, operates almost independently of the inland climate logic. The Canary Current keeps the sea temperature relatively cool year-round, and the trade winds that make Essaouira one of the best kitesurfing destinations in the world blow most reliably and most strongly from spring through early autumn. The town is therefore both cooler in summer than Marrakesh, sometimes dramatically so, with temperatures in the mid-20s while the inland city bakes at 40, and windier in the shoulder seasons than some visitors expect. Summer in Essaouira is when Moroccans escape the heat of their own city, which makes June through August the most lively and most crowded period on the coast. Spring and autumn are quieter, and the wind more variable, which suits non-kitesurfers better, but still produces the town's characteristic flying sand and Atlantic spray. Now the Ramadan question, which requires understanding before it can be applied to any of the above. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar, during which observant Muslims fast from dawn to sunset. In Morocco, where Islam is deeply woven into daily life and public practice, Ramadan changes the operating rhythm of the country in ways that are genuinely significant for a visitor and that interact with the climate calendar in combinations that shift year by year. During the days of Ramadan, many restaurants in Medinas, particularly the local establishments rather than the tourist-facing ones, operate on reduced hours or don't open at all until iftar, the fast-breaking meal at sunset. Alcohol becomes harder to find in local establishments, though tourist hotels and restaurants catering specifically to international visitors generally continue to serve it. The streets in the daytime have a different atmosphere, quieter in some respects, with less of the commercial energy that normally characterizes the souks, and with a kind of collective patience and restraint that is part of the spirit of the month. And then, dramatically, the nights transform. Iftar unleashes an extraordinary communal energy. The Medinas fill after dark in a way they don't outside Ramadan. The shared meal has a quality of celebration and generosity that makes the evenings during Ramadan some of the most alive and most genuinely Moroccan in the calendar. The honest version of the Ramadan timing advice is not simply avoid it. The honest version is, it depends entirely on what you're coming for and how you approach it. A traveler who wants full restaurant access at all hours, easy access to wine with dinner, and the commercial Morocco of the souks operating at full capacity will find Ramadan a genuine inconvenience that is worth planning around. A traveler who is curious about Morocco as a living Islamic culture, who is willing to adjust their schedule to iftar rather than fighting it, who is interested in the particular atmosphere of a Moroccan city at its most communal and its most devout, will find Ramadan one of the most rewarding windows of the year to be in the country. Neither assessment is wrong. They're describing different trips to the same place. What matters practically is knowing in advance which Ramadan years correspond to which months of the Gregorian calendar, because the shift is predictable. In recent years, Ramadan has moved through the spring and into the winter months, and it will continue shifting earlier year by year. A traveler planning Morocco for a specific month 2 or 3 years out can easily check where Ramadan falls in that year. The dates are known well in advance and factored into the decision rather than discovering on arrival that the restaurant they researched doesn't open until sunset. So then putting the two layers together. For Marrakesh and the imperial cities, the sweet spot that combines ideal climate with the fewest Ramadan complications, in years when Ramadan falls outside this window, is mid-October through November and March through early May. These months avoid the summer heat, avoid the winter cold, and in most recent and coming years have not coincided with Ramadan. But the check is worth doing for the specific year of travel rather than assuming. For the desert, October through March broadly, with November and February-March as the optimal sub-windows for a combination of good light, manageable temperatures, and thinner crowds than the peak October-November rush. For the Atlas trekking, May-June and September-October, with June being the most reliable for snow-free high passes. For the Atlantic coast, spring and autumn for quieter visits with variable wind, summer for the liveliest atmosphere, and the most reliable cooling effect from the coast if Marrakesh heat is the reason you're going there. And running underneath all of this for every month and every region, check the Ramadan calendar before you finalize dates. Decide honestly whether you're the traveler who wants to be there during it or the one who doesn't, and plan accordingly. That decision, made consciously rather than by accident, is worth more than any amount of perfect weather timing, because arriving in Morocco during Ramadan without knowing it's Ramadan is the timing mistake that no amount of shoulder season research will save you from. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, smash that like button and subscribe to When to Travel. We're all about helping you make smarter travel decisions. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And hey, if you think your friends need this, share it. Comment below with your next destination or your biggest travel question. I'm reading all of them. Let's go.